All right, welcome in. We are doing a little special Patriots Press Pass edition. Mike Kadick, host of the Patriots Beat and Patriots writer for CLNS Media, joins me here to talk about the obvious news of the day, which is Tom Brady says he's retiring.
It's over, John. It's over.
I'm not holding on to a dream. I am saying it would be foolish of us to fully take him at his word after having been duped so badly the first time around, but this felt authentic. There's no pomp, no circumstance. In fact, Brady clearly was embarrassed by the whole thing that he went through last year, announcing to the world that he's leaving, only to come back a short while later. He even referenced it in his just little selfie vid that he put out on his own. I've already had one tour and one lengthy goodbye. It's actually 3 goodbyes because obviously it was leaked that he was going to retire. Then he retired. Then he unretired.
He's been all over the news cycle. He knows how to work one, that's for sure.
Now he's retired again. So before we get into whether or not we think it's legit and authentic, because I have my thoughts, let's just talk about the immediate impact. And then obviously we can talk legacy, but everybody knows it's almost pointless to talk about it. Tom Brady's the greatest, blah, 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 ever to ever anything. It doesn't matter what. You can literally play Mad Libs with it. Tom Brady's the greatest blank to ever blank. You could fill in everything.
And it's all true, right?
And it's all true. Greatest athlete to ever play, greatest winner to ever win. It doesn't matter. He's the greatest. It's indisputable. All of the haters can cry all they want. Brady's Brady, and he always will be. But what this does to the whole QB carousel, there's quite a few people out there, I'll put myself in among them, who thought, Patriots, I thought was a long shot, but I didn't put beyond the realm of possibility because you don't know what's in his head. San Francisco, Miami, somewhere else. But the domino effect that this is going to create by him not coming back is significant.
There's a lot of openings now, right? You talk about even the Jets, the Dolphins, maybe with Tua. You don't know where his health's at.
Right.
The Raiders were trading Derek Carr. It sounds like they still are going to trade Derek Carr before his massive cap hit. They're not an option anymore to grab Tom Brady. Tampa Bay has Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert. You don't know where they're going to go. So, it's going to change a lot. It changes the whole landscape. And, just like Brady did change the whole landscape of the league, he's doing it yet again. Like you said, he knows how to work a news cycle. He did it when he left the Patriots. It was leaked that he was leaving. Then he was leaving. Now he was retiring. Then he retired. Then he didn't. So, look, he's the GOAT. There's no way of putting it, but he's leaving a massive hole in the NFL, and he's also, like you said, leaving one in the QB carousel too. So I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of moving parts. So
are you surprised that he did? I am totally surprised. I thought if you stacked up, all of the possibilities, I would have put coming to the Patriots ahead of retiring, even though I did think that was remote. I would have thought for sure, like you said, Miami, the Jets, a nice ready-made roster with everything but a quarterback, a team that isn't sure whether their quarterback is the guy and might want to season them a little bit longer, or a team with a massive hole. Obviously, the Raiders seem to make sense. San Fran now with Brock Purdy going down, and who knows what's going on with Trey Lance there. All of these made sense, and I just thought it was a matter of which. Miami made sense for a few reasons. They've got the receivers. They've already done the dance with them. He could end up as part of that ownership group there. It's in Florida. He gets to be close to his kids. That made so much sense. I would have thought personally that was a clubhouse leader with everything else falling in after. But I am legitimately surprised that he retired. Why? Are you surprised, and why do you think he did it?
I'm a little bit surprised. I thought Vegas was the likely destination. Familiarity with Josh McDaniels, running a similar system. He didn't want to have to go to, at the end of the day, San Francisco and learn a whole new scheme. Same thing with Miami and McDaniel. Coming back here, it was fun to think about after Gasper's report on Felger and Maz, and he talked about the whole, Bill O'Brien coming here and learn him here. But at the end of the day, I thought Vegas made sense. Devontae Adams is there. Josh Jacobs is there. They have a few studs on defense, and he's going to lure in more free agents if he come here. So, again, the familiarity with Josh, I thought the Raiders made sense. Am I surprised? No, I'm not terribly surprised.
Like he went out so poorly. That's what I'm surprised with I'm shocked that his legacy is a really frustrating year where all he did was look miserable and yell and scream and have a crap record and not really look like himself and have his play called into scrutiny and then just have to live with everybody saying he's done, he's fallen off a cliff, as that to be the last words said about him playing. And I think that was greatly exaggerated just how poorly he played. I think there was a dip. I think for the first time you saw him do things you were unaccustomed to seeing him do, missing open receivers, just not fully himself. But this is a guy who finished with nearly 5,000 yards passing in an off year, so like
made the playoffs in an off year, like made the best out of his circumstance.
A lot didn't work. I thought it was somewhere in the middle between, not as good as he'd been a couple of years prior, but certainly not falling off the cliff. But regardless, everyone who wants to bury him got a chance to bury him, and he's got to live with it now. And he's just going to kind of go off into the sunset knowing that like football got the best of him, or at least that's what some people will say, as opposed to I just quit because now I am done.
I have a tough time with that. I mean, again, his circumstances weren't great down there this year, but the other thing he did, which I thought was interesting, is he played to 45. He said forever, I can get to 45, I can play to 45, and I can play well until 45. And I'm only going to retire when I suck, was his words. I still don't think he sucked. I mean, he wasn't great. It looked like it was getting to him a little bit, but he got to 45. He said he was going to do it, and he did it, and he did it pretty well.
Yeah.
Again, as far as being surprised he retired, look, all the family stuff that happened, there's probably more to it. I'm not going to speculate on the guy's personal life by any means, but it looks like, Jeff Darlington reported too that he had lost 15 pounds during the season. He was kind of out of it. It was either going to be Tampa or nothing, according to Darlington, who has been close with Brady in the past. So no, it doesn't surprise me. And I think that I have a hard time putting his legacy to this because sure, he ended this way and he ended poorly, but was it really that poorly? I mean, he won a Super Bowl with them 2 years ago. Like you said, he threw for almost 5,000 yards. He made the best out of a circumstance where they got rid of Arians. They gave him Todd Bowles, and it didn't work. And that's okay. His legacy is so much more than what happened in Tampa this season.
We know that. Right. I mean, you're not convincing me.
No, of course.
There's plenty of people out there. I'm saying Brady.
Well, those people are nuts. Like that's,
I know, but Brady's a guy who drags with him the 199 stuff everywhere he goes. And so this is a guy who's going to go out there and everyone will be like, well, time finally caught up with him. I just didn't think he would let it. Brady, father time beat him, or at least the appearance of it. I thought he'd want to come back with something to prove, a clean slate. Miserable year, obviously, emotionally for him, as you mentioned. Lost the weight, had the issue in the preseason, left the team for a bit to take care of family stuff. Didn't work. Ended up in a divorce. Again, who knows what went on behind the scenes and could have been headed in that direction anyway. What's very clear is this was probably the worst year professionally and personally of Brady's tenure here. I mean, Brady's time in the league. So I thought he'd want to come back clean slate. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think just with that, I think he might also finally be realizing that he can make an impact without actually throwing a football.
It's not he just likes it so much.
I know.
I mean, that's the thing. He says he likes it and he lives for it, but he has looked miserable. So maybe that's what it came down to. It is like, I am officially no longer happy playing football.
Yeah, which that's huge too. I mean, he also is going to have a bag waiting for him at Fox if he wants to hop in the booth. Greg Olson's done a hell of a job there.
I still don't think he does a game there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never thought it.
It's hard to turn down all that cash, but I mean, again, we'll see what happens. But no, he's going to do bigger and better. It's also 80 for Brady comes out this week. I wonder if this has anything to do with that promo.
Nothing.
For that movie.
There is, in the movie. Yeah, right. There's. I don't know about bigger and or better. I don't know that you can get bigger and better than what he did professionally. But I mean, he can print money, anything he wants to do or anyone he wants to go. I don't think that that's necessarily a concern for him, nor does he need to make another dollar for the rest of his next 10 lives if he were to live that long. And I'm sure that he'll be fine. And everybody who's ever associated or affiliated with the Brady family in perpetuity will never have to worry about money. That's not the concern. And of course, it is a crap ton that's being left on the table. I'm just a little bit surprised. So fine, that's that. My not conspiracy theory, but my door a crack open. He did not leave the door a crack open in this thing.
No, he didn't.
He said for good. He sounds definitive. I do not believe this is a ploy that he's saying it for a reason, trying to leverage a situation, and is going to come back because I know that he knows how disingenuous that would look to the public. Right. I do not believe that's something he's considering doing. I do believe that he's going to get really bored really anxious, really whatever, at some point in the next 5, 6, 7 months, and thoughts might creep into his head of whether or not something happens. So could I see a quarterback going down in training camp or the beginning of the season? Could I see a situation where a team tries something and it doesn't work and they ring the bell, and he has the benefit of skipping all of training camp and joining a team?
Right.
Would I be stunned if videos start coming out in the offseason of him working his butt off, throwing with like a quarterback coach, and people would be like, why are you doing that if you don't play football? Oh, I'm just getting in shape. None of that would surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me because I'm done being surprised by anything Tom Brady does. I personally thought he was done 7 years ago. So what do I know? I wouldn't be shocked if he took a year off and came back at 47 and played another year. None of that would surprise me.
The part of that I wonder about, John, is
I'm not saying I think it'll happen. None of it would surprise me. Yeah.
Right. The part I think about is the team calling when their quarterback goes down, because they're going to call. I mean, it happened. I'm pretty sure it happened with Drew Brees this year. There were teams calling about Drew Brees who had been out for a year already. A guy goes down. They're going to be at his doorstep trying to make him come back. And that's going to be hard for him. Like you said, once emotions settle, once the dust goes off or whatever you want to call it, and he's retired and is bored and is just sitting there, he's going to probably have an itch to come back. It happened last year. Yeah, it sounded definitive last year when he retired. He wrote the whole thing. He did the whole Instagram story thing like he did today. And then 6 weeks go by and he's like, wow, I want to get back. I'm supposed to be back on the field. So I think, like you said, though, as far as his image, he knows that if he does it again, it's going to be a bad look. And then he's just going to turn into what Brett Favre did so many years ago.
The difference between last year and this year in terms of how definitive it was is last year it felt like the decision was being made by multiple people. This year, the decision is clearly being made by one person. So obviously, again, it's fairly easy to speculate what had happened there. He was not forced into, but he was influenced to do something that was for the greater good of the family unit, and thought, yeah, this isn't what I want, and came back.
Even with Tampa Bay, he was in a contract year, so he couldn't really make a move to go anywhere else. Right now, he's
free.
He's free, and he's still deciding to retire this year.
So that means it's more definitive. So I believe today Tom Brady fully believes he's never going to play football again. Right. I still don't believe that means Tom Brady's never going to play football again.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Would you have wanted him back here?
So again, not for the yes. So if you want to flip the script, because I was going to ask you there.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like stories. Doing what we do.
That's what we do. Yeah.
The best thing that could happen would be that. Would he be better? Would he be good? Would it destroy Mac? Would they have to move on from Mac? Do I believe Mac is the guy? We can go into 40 different directions with that conversation. I'm dubious whether Mac is anything ever than a mid-level, mid-tier, or just like more in the 15 to 20 range of quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know. Maybe in the 15 to 10. I cannot believe his ceiling would be any higher than that. Could you win if you put a terrific team around him and he was playing at the best level you thought capable based off of his physical abilities? Maybe, maybe. But I don't know. I'm not fully sold. And it doesn't really matter what I think. If the Patriots behind the scenes, if Belichick, with the benefit of having seen him for 2 years, even putting him through what he put him through last year, feels in his bones that like this guy's not it, then move on sooner than later. Right. In which case, bring in your stopgap, and who better than this guy, and then go back to the well, in a year or two. Because if you're gonna be looking for a quarterback in 1 or 2 years, what's the difference? Pull the plug now. If you're still unsure, use him as the cheap option to continue to go forward on the third year of a rookie deal, and hope that he makes that big leap this year, and that you don't have to kind of pay that position at the premium that everybody else is paying it. Build the rest of your roster around it, take advantage, whatever. But I still wanted it to happen. It would have been an amazing.
Of course. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think keeping Mac around would have been ideal in that circumstance. I don't know how Mac would deal with that as far as, hey, we're going to bring this guy in. You have to now go to the bench. He probably would have asked for a trade. He wouldn't have been happy with it. And I wouldn't necessarily blame him. You draft me here. I've been the starter for 2 years. Then all of a sudden you bring the guy who I'm trying to, I'm trying to be here. So I don't think he would have dealt with that very well.
I don't think so either. But what I thought, my fantasy scenario, if this were to have worked, Brady comes back, you trade Mac for a future first to a team that's confident that they'll never be a bottom 5 or 6 team.
Right.
And you get a Rams or a Broncos situation where like, oh crap, we were supposed to be much better than this. And you end up getting a terrific pick out of the deal down the road. And then you can maybe address quarterback in that draft. Again, so many things
Fantasy
have to
land,
go.
yeah.
Fantasy land. So many things have to go there. I'm not sure what you could get for Mac in an open market. It only takes one team. It only takes one to think like that's my guy. I actually thought McDaniels was a possibility, but again, this is Fairyland, Fantasyland. Obviously, the most plausible scenario was always the Patriots continuing with Mac and then Brady going to, I believe, to one of those other teams that made more sense, that's ready-made, has more talent.
Had everything around him.
Closer to where he wants to live, have everything around him, which Tampa was when he went there for sure. A lot of people on their rookie deals, but that's that. So we will wrap it up. There's going to be much more coverage of both Brady and all things Patriots throughout the day on CLNS Media. Mike Kadick and his podcast partner, Alex Barth, will be back with Patriots Beat. There'll be Brady talk. There'll be a lot of Shrine Bowl talk and some prospects there. So we'll get to that. Make sure you tune in, subscribe to that podcast. Check out our Patriots Press Pass YouTube page. Subscribe there for the best Patriots news, information, and analysis. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. Tom Brady says he's retiring for good. We believe him. We will see what happens. But for now, really weird to imagine a world. And I'm sure for someone your age, Mike.
Oh, yeah. My whole life.
Imagine an NFL without Tom Brady in it. Very, very strange. So we will see. Anyway, thanks all. And we'll see you guys later.